mostly the friends that I have left are people who are into gaming or who have known me for such a long time they can't get rid of me anymore. Those are my two types of friends. Or a combination of two, which I objectively classify as best friends because we have common interests and history. That in my book that classifies you as a best friend. Unless they sniffle too hard, then they stop being my friends. Then they're just my roommates. Yeah, my wounds cut deep, don't they?
And the very last of them
Have both, then you should consider yourself lucky. Like, I feel like as we all grow older, it's so much harder to make a friend. Not just because of, like, all of us just getting increasingly awkward, but it's like, no, it's like the amount that I'm bothered is like less and less and less every year after year after year. Like, as time goes by, I am just unfucking bothered. You know? It's like, yes, I'm very irritable, and I feel like I also irritate other people, so it's probably best if we don't mingle, you know? I know, like, making friends is hard, but I know that I don't put enough effort. Like, I know that this is unhealthy and it can be taken in all sorts of wrong ways, but I'm very happy with my community, and, like, when I stream, I have someone to talk to, and my chat is the equivalent of a friend to me, which is why I think this is, like, my way of being social and me not needing anything else. It's like I am sitting here talking to people. It's like I'm far from antisocial. I'm just terribly picky. And the fact that I don't have like human bodies around me doesn't stop me from being, you know, a friend or conversing or anything like that. Like physical presence of people means nothing to me whatsoever because I'm so used to like the online presence and just communicating with people who I've never met. And I don't know, like I don't make that difference, I guess. But yeah, it's getting harder and harder and harder. It's like, do you know how? Let's say you're 15, and then you have all your teeth, and then you're like, I need to take care of these teeth because they will like, oh my god, they will like last me a while. Can you heal me, please? I'm panicking a little bit. Okay, I like pressed all my buttons there. It's like, you know, you have to take care of all your teeth because they will last for a very long time. Make your core, hello and welcome. How are you doing? Hope you're having a lovely Friday. Today's Friday, isn't it? I hope so. Anyways, teeth. When you're 15, you know that most likely they will serve you for a very long time. And I'm not trying to call out anyone. I don't want to say when you're 28 because it's not too close to 15, but like let's say when you're like, I don't know, 60 or so, like there's not that much pressure to like keep up with it. Basically, you just need to keep up with it for the amount of time that your teeth will serve you so that they don't like fall out before you know. It's like it feels like it's similar with friends as well. Like at 15, you really want to invest into them because you know that you're gonna be around for a while. But like when you're older and when you're already used to, you know, maybe having a smaller social circle or whatever, you don't really need to do it all that much. You know? Because like if you're already fine and if you've lived your life with your, you know, social circle of like a few friends or whatever, why would you be looking out for more? It's not like you need to do it. And you're most likely going to be fine for the rest of your life. Oh my god, I hope I didn't say anything super offensive, but it's like I feel like whenever I say these things, I'm always like borderline offensive, and I try not to be. I'm not trying to call anyone out. It's just like the way I see things. And I'm hoping that I will be able to just like stroll through life comfortably enough with my limited IRL social circle so that when I do get to that point, I feel like I'm not really in need because I know how to operate under the premise of not really being super social. And it's becoming less and less necessary for me. At least I feel that way. Is that is that just a very twisted way of seeing things, or because we sometimes who needs friends when I have MMOs? Honestly, well, MMOs are, by definition, they are places where you interact with people. And I think this is going to sound very unhealthy. So I apologize in advance if you're just a mentally healthy person who has their priorities straight. But friendship, per se, is overrated in a way that it's probably a lot better to maybe not, like, maybe you don't need to have friends who you're just going to share like all these details about your life with. Maybe it's more important to just have someone who has similar interests to you, who you can do activities with, rather than just be friends with. Because not everyone needs a friend. A friend, by definition, yes, is someone who's gonna do things with you, but also who you're going to confide in. Confide, is that the word? Like, not everyone needs to confide in someone. And it's better to have, um, I want to say partner in crime. when it comes to like anything that you do, whether it's games or I don't know, anything really, than to have a friend who you also have this like social responsibility for. Yami, hello and welcome back. How are you doing? Hope you're having a great Friday. Um, it's like friends are very high maintenance in comparison to people who have same interests with you, because when you have a same interest, let's say, I don't know, let's theory craft this a little bit. Let's say Luneth is my, not a friend, but like someone who I play games with. I don't have this social responsibility of having to be there for Luneth when we play games together, because we play games together and that's what we do. And for someone who's overwhelmed by social interactions, rather than being upset about not being able to make a friend, how about you just have more people in your life that you can do things with that make you happy, rather than just like being overwhelmed with like, I don't know, with this anxiety over like not having a friend. A friend per se is not something that everyone needs, because not everyone, it's like a friend is kind of like paying for a PlayStation Plus, but you never play any of those games for some people. Is that a wrong way to say it? It's like friends have additional benefits, but they also have like additional responsibilities. Rather than just owning a PlayStation and playing, can I pull more? And playing like the games that are available to you, and then after you've played all those games and you crave for something more, then you like upgrade, I don't know, some of your existing partners in games or crime or whatever you want to call it, into friends, or you find new ones or whatever. That's kind of how I see friendships. Like, until you have the need for what friendship exactly is, you shouldn't be too bothered about not having friends. It's very easy and liberating when you realize that friends are not necessarily what you need, when you just realize that you just need someone to do things with, for start. And once you operate under that particular premise, it's going to be so much easier for you to interact, because you're not going to be instantly pressured with like having to befriend someone and dedicate your time to. Yeah, exactly. I have MMO friends and then IRL friends I see often. Yeah, they're two different things. Not every IRL friend needs to be an MMO friend, obviously, and not every MMO friend, more importantly, needs to be an IRL friend. And if you just have MMO people, it's fine if they're not friends, for as long as you're not craving that kind of interaction. If you are, then it's probably good to either convert some of them into your actual friends, or to, you know, go out there and find friends who don't necessarily care about the same things that you care about. But it is not necessary. So if you struggle, just find someone to do things with. You don't have to confine in them. You don't have to make like daily effort into checking in, or weekly effort, or whatever. You don't have to like feel that kind of pressure. And more often than not, you will find yourself spending a lot more time with those, I want to say friends, but you know what I mean. Just having fun and doing things that would be categorized as friendship, but without the burden of like, you know, having to be friends. Am I making sense? In a matter. Manner. Anyways, if I'm just like, I don't know, maybe this is like completely unhealthy and maybe you should not be taking friendship advice from me. But from that point of view, I have plenty of friends. If they all belong in that same category of friends, if you consider people who you do activities with, then I'm fine. Then I have, you know, more than what I need. But I don't have a lot of like friends, but I also don't need a lot of friends. It's all about like what you need and what you can give back. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have talked about this. Maybe this was like a totally wrong, I don't know, thing to say or whatever. As I have done what you are saying, and it did help for a while, but then felt lonely when I was not playing those games. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I wasn't necessarily referring to just games, but like, let's say you don't just play games, but also you do other things. So if you like, if that is enough, if like doing activities with others is enough for you to not feel lonely, and you're lacking people to do other activities with, then you just find like different people to do different activities with. For as long as you don't crave what actual friendship entails, and that is like the emotional closeness or whatever to someone, I think you will be fine. What is, I can't see these. I can never tell. I think I'm fine here. Me and my friend could go weeks without talking, and when we do, it's like, what comments have you read? Not a beat skip. Yeah, exactly. Especially when you have a real friend who has the same interests as you. Like, I have the same thing going on with my mom friends, because all of us are so busy that when you talk to another mom, you don't even apologize for not calling anymore. It's like you don't apologize for being busy. We know that we're both busy, and then you just talk about things that you can talk about, the things that you want to talk about at that time, and you're not really overly concerned with why this person hasn't called you in like a week or 2 weeks or whatever. Time just, you know, just flies, and you don't really like even know where the time is gone, but it has. And like, I don't know, moms will rarely ever get mad at each other for that. I actually lost a very good friend a few years ago who was very important to me. I met her at university, but then she told me, after I had my child, she told me that she can't be friends with me anymore because I'm too selfish. Because like I can never go anywhere, and because we've lost all of the like all of our common interests. So that's when I realized that I actually wasn't her friend. And I was someone who she shared an activity with, rather than being her real friend. She was a real friend to me, but back then I didn't know the difference between these things. I thought that just because we were at the same university and we would spend like all day together, you know, talking about studies, about this or about that, and then we had some other, you know, interests in common like photography and like other stuff. I thought that we were friends, but that is, I think, when I stopped being friends with her, that's when I learned the difference between those two things. Not everyone who you do things with, especially not who you go to school with, is your friend. Just because you're put in the same room doesn't mean that you need to be friends with them. Friends are different. Like, friends are people who you actually feel things for, and like feel that you need to be there for them and whatnot. But not, I don't know. Um, have IRL friends. I mean, it's just good to have balance, in my opinion. And I think that people often make a mistake of like trying to get their IRL friends to necessarily like the things that they like because they feel like they should like turn their IRL friends into their activity friends, which sometimes is very hard. It's a lot easier to have an activity friend and turn it into a real life friend than the other way around. I've tried. I did my best. I had that friend and another friend from university who were both very good friends to me, and they knew that I was into gaming, but they just weren't. That one friend, like three of us used to hang out like during uni, and okay, let's see. What can I do? I have 300. So I need like 66. 66. This is not gonna get me there. I could do a leveling, but I'm afraid that I'm not gonna... What? Oh, we didn't do them? But what if we don't make it in time? Do you think we're gonna make it?
Yeah.
In 17 minutes?
Yeah. We can do it in 15.
Yeah. So, one of those friends, the other one, she was also a very, very good friend to me. And we were very different. She was very, very conservative. Like, I don't think I'm the definition of the opposite of conservative. I think I'm very neutral when it comes to that. She was very conservative, also very religious. I don't share those interests, but I never tapped into that, obviously, and she never tapped into my interests because she also knew that those were not my interests, and we were able to get along, of course, even without these things ever playing any sort of role in our friendship. But she was also into into other things. Like, she had her music taste that I didn't find appealing, and I had gaming. She was not into games. She would listen to me talk about gaming and tournaments and, content creation and everything, and she was always very respectful, and she knew that that meant a lot to me. And in hindsight, maybe that's what, I don't know, could that be something that, that ruined our friendship? Maybe I was just trying too hard to push her into something, not push her into something, but to feel understood by a person who I cared about. Maybe I should have just, focused more on, just spending time with her and just enjoying the, the company, because she was what I would consider a real life friend. And our friendship didn't end per se, like we didn't get into a fight or anything, we just kind of drifted apart because she lives in a different city. And she used to go to my university as well, and she moved back to her hometown after finishing uni. So she got married there, and I was invited to the wedding, but that was like, her wedding was like maybe the second or the third month of when like the COVID first hit. I had a 1-year-old, and it was just overall impossible for me to just ignore that and to go and have that wedding, because some people weren't really allowed to have big weddings. But she was getting married in a church, and that was like a big traditional wedding with like the gowns and everything, and it was like there was like a lot of people invited, and they didn't really like respect the those boundaries or anything like that. So I decided not to go. And I think she was very sad because of that. Like, I think she understood that I couldn't go, but at the same time, I felt like not going to her wedding, created a really big dent in our friendship. And we kind of stopped talking after that. Like, we would message each other, like, on Facebook, like, every now and then, and be like, hey, how are you doing, or whatever. But that was mostly it. Like, we never ended up reconnecting in a meaningful way because she stopped traveling to my city, like where our university is, and I never went to visit her. And it was just like it became it became a lot of effort to kind of keep that friendship up. I have a friend that I discovered she had her second daughter in the 1 year anniversary, almost 2 years without talking. Like, for as long as you are genuine friends, I mean, these things, I think, even, like, I think especially today, people can forgive each other for, like, not disclosing this information or whatever, for as long as you're able to, like, continue where you left off with, with conversations, with stuff. I can't use my gap closers. Ugh. But yeah, so we're not friends anymore. I have no idea what she's been up to. I don't know if she has kids. I haven't talked to her in ages, and I also deleted my Facebook profile. It just became really overwhelming, and there's a lot of creeps out there, so I just decided not to have Facebook anymore. So I kind of lost that last like way of us catching up, because that was the way we would talk. And I couldn't get her to like text message me or to call me or something like that. Thank you. I couldn't get her to like switch to doing that because she uses Facebook. And that's kind of how our friendship fell apart. But yeah, I mean, I do miss her. She was a very good listener as well, and I talk a lot. She didn't talk a lot. She was very shy. And two of us got along pretty well because she enjoys listening. She doesn't do a lot of talking. But, you know, to me, it was a very good friend, because, like, when I'm friends with someone, I just talk, like, all the time. And I honestly, I started being friends with her, I think, in the first year of uni, because I was just so upset with how other people from our group, like, at uni, were treating her. I remember, people talking shit about her because... Oh, shit. People talk shit about her because, like, she would go and, like, have coffee with, like, the whole group, and she would mostly just sit there and be quiet, and they thought, like, people would, like, call her stupid and just, like, weird and whatnot, not understanding that she was actually sitting there just observing, what a bunch of idiots most of them were, and she tried not to really get involved. And then I got forced into doing lab work with her. It was organics chemistry. And she was the clumsiest person ever. At first, I didn't want to do it. Like, I didn't think she was stupid or whatever. And I had a few arguments with people who were at uni because I couldn't stay quiet. Like, they would bully her a little bit. Like, they would ask her questions that they would know she would be uncomfortable asking. Like, questions about religion, question about, like, where she's from, what she does. And she was very, like, closed and didn't want to talk about these things. And then I would overhear these conversations, and I would get into an argument with them, so I would kind of aggro them because of that. So it's not that I, like, tried to defend her or anything, but, like, I would ask people, like, how is this any of your business? And then people stopped hating me too. Started hating me too, not stopped. Definitely not stopped. But then two of us kind of became friends, and she was my lab partner. She was very clumsy. Very, very clumsy. Like, she set our stuff on fire numerous times, and it was just a very, very, very stressful time of my life. But through that lab work, having to work with her was probably beneficial for our friendship, because I learned what she was like. I learned how to communicate with her and whatnot, and then we just kind of remained friends. But I think I was a little bit of a different person at uni, and I would say, without incriminating myself in any way, I would say that I'm far more conservative now than what I was at uni. And she was still my friend. She was still my friend, even though she knew things about me that I wouldn't disclose to anyone back then, except for her. And she would listen to that, and she wouldn't, like, blame me or hate on me or trash me for anything. So she was from that point of view, we were, like, I was very grateful that, to have had someone like that. Like, I wasn't, like, overly out there or anything like that, but in comparison to her, who's never had a boyfriend up until, I don't know, maybe her last year of university or whatever, in comparison to that, she was conservative. So, and I was not. So she never told me that that's not, I don't know, something that she wants to, I don't know about or whatever, she would listen to me and I would listen to her. Like, she, at some point, she really opened up and she did talk about, her religion and like her attitudes and politics and whatnot. And I was incredibly respectful of that, I think. I never said anything like, I don't know, to make her feel like I maybe not don't have the same beliefs or whatever, because I knew that she, well, first of all, I'm not a disrespectful person when it comes to that, and also I knew that she was a friend to me and listened to me talk about the things that she doesn't necessarily uh, care care about, and that's kind of how we learned that we can talk to each other about the things that we don't necessarily agree with. And from that point of view, I do miss her, and I wish she was around, because I don't make a lot of IRL friends, and I've just been, I don't want to say I've been forced into interacting with her for the longest time, but university just kind of, if you're in a small group, it just forces you to interact with people at some point. So I wish I was able to keep that, but I wasn't because of distance, and things like that just happen. Try not to force my favorite games onto other friends, mainly Final Fantasy, Dark Souls games. They're not for everyone. Oh, definitely not. Back then, for when it comes to me, I was into Hearthstone. And I thought that Hearthstone was just like a really easy to understand game that is that was like, I don't know, just something that anyone could enjoy. Obviously not everyone enjoyed it. She knew of Hearthstone, and sometimes I couldn't stop myself and I would talk about Hearthstone, but I refrained from talking about World of Warcraft, which is what I used to play a lot back then. And I learned over time not to push games onto her because she just wasn't a gaming type. And that's fine. But it took me a while, like it took me pretty much losing people in my life to realize that what is this? That activities and friendships and friends who get involved in activities and friends who get involved in friendships are not the same thing. I lean liberal socially and conservative financially, friends with libertarian, we debate politics every so often, which is a good thing if you know that that there's someone who you won't like break those bonds with for as long as you remain respectful and whatnot. I don't, like, honestly, I know that this is up for a debate, but I don't think that politics or religion are in any way, shape, or form reasons for people to not get along. Unless there's something that you're discussing that literally affects both of you, and you have to be close enough that your, I don't know, decisions or whatever are affecting both of you. If like, what I'm trying to say is, if somebody's life doesn't affect you, if somebody's decisions or beliefs don't affect you negatively, there's nothing that you should ever be saying to anyone when it comes to their beliefs of any kind. She was one of the very few people in uni who knew I was bi, and she didn't, like, she never felt like, obviously, like, I think we're past the point where someone who is straight will feel weird about it. I think that's like a very 2000s or 1990s attitude or whatever. She knew about it, and even with her religious background and everything, like, I felt comfortable telling her that, and she was very respectful of my choices and my feelings. And that's when I learned that people can indeed respect each other regardless of like how they, regardless of what they feel. I've never affected her in any way. She has never affected me in any way with her beliefs, and it worked out. And I miss having those kinds of friends who will just be friends with you without just having this internal urge to cancel you when you disagree with their beliefs if you're not affecting them. Because I feel like sometimes like, cancel culture is overwhelming, especially with friends, especially with people who you're counting on to be around, but they're not. We're not gonna finish this in time, are we? That's okay. I'm still gonna get, like, I'm acting like I'm not gonna get those tones. Oh my god. I'm like, if we don't finish this in 4 minutes, this is gonna fall apart. It's not gonna fall apart. I'm just gonna get them, later. It's like, I don't know why I was so panicky about this. It doesn't matter if I get it. Like, chances are I might not even do these roulettes for tomorrow. So it doesn't matter. I just want to get my relic, to be honest. Most people, differences will be respectful and one-on-one comments, the media making it worse. I think so. I think you're right. And I don't know, like I love having different friends, you know? It's not that I try to like create this, I don't know, super diverse space for myself where I'm friends with, you know, a person of this belief or this orientation or these politics or anything like that, but it is interesting and it makes life better when you can learn more things and when you can like interact with more different people. It's like if I had friends who were all of the same attitudes with everything, I wouldn't have friends. I would have a cult. I feel, you know, it's like what? Yes, like if we were all in the same group, having like the same mindset, the same ideas, the same attitudes, and if we were just like the same people, it's a cult, you know, and that's not what I want to have. So cancel culture was called boycotting when I was young. Same. Cancel culture is a very new term, and I'm not saying that it's unfounded. I don't think that there's I don't think oh sure. I don't think that there's anything bad per se about standing up for what you believe in. But sometimes people jump on the cancel trains without knowing all the facts. And here's a little bit of a red pill for everyone. Most of the time, they don't know all the facts. Most of the time, you will jump on a cancel bandwagon of anyone who you want to be canceling, not knowing the backstory. Unless it's just something really horrible and there's like a singular proof that they did it or whatever, and you just, you know, just really want to be on that bandwagon, sure, whatever. I don't cancel people regardless of like what they do or not do. Like I don't start like whenever I have a problem with someone, I solve it internally. I never cancel people on Twitter. Like for example, you will like very rarely will you see me mentioning any YouTube comments or Twitter comments or anything like that on my Twitter feed. Sometimes I will post them and I will hide the name because I don't like people. I don't like it when I put someone's name out there, even though their comments are public. I feel like people, whenever they try to cancel someone, whenever someone does something bad on social media, they give themselves the right to creep on that person. They find out their name, they find out their address, they find out what they do. They I don't know, if there's something bad that they did, they go and like contact their workplace, they contact their universities and stuff. Like things that happen on Twitter are wild. And yes, Bayonetta's situation is like a prime example of people jumping on a bandwagon without knowing all of the facts. And now those people are very quiet on social media. I'm not saying the companies are perfect, and I don't want to get into this. Like I've never played Bayonetta. I don't know anything about the game. I know it's a very famous classic game that a lot of people have enjoyed. I don't know anything about it, but I feel like people are just very hungry for these things, and sometimes when someone seemingly does something, like what I hate is the creeping, the supposedly justified creeping, and like finding out information about someone and then trying to destroy someone's life without knowing all the facts, or even with knowing all the facts. Like people on the internet, they how should I say this? They think that just because someone did something wrong, they give themselves the right to be the judges, the juries, and executioners. Whenever someone is getting cancelled, suddenly everyone has the right to pry and to be a part of their life and the situation just because their cause is supposedly right. And I honestly, I disagree with that. I like it when the things are solved internally because they can cause the kind of drama that, for example, that the Bayonetta caused, or any other drama. Like, obviously, there are causes and situations where it's okay to talk about it, to stand up for it, to make sure that someone is, I don't want to say punished, but that someone gets the message that it's wrong. for them to get the message that, you know, the social media and the whole community thinks that it's wrong, it's okay. But going as far as to, like, I don't know, digging for their address and contacting their family members, and people do that. It's like, that's not your place to do. That is not up to you. Like, if there's like a I don't know, a crime, or if there's something, you know, serious going on, it's up to the authorities and not random people on Twitter who decide that, I don't know, someone should have their life destroyed or whatever. Don't go after like family members, you know, workplaces and whatnot, because there's always that 1% chance that something is not the way it seems. Things can easily get fabricated online. Photoshop, not just, I say Photoshop, but I mean any sort of editing program is a thing. Manipulations of text messages, of phone calls, and just like describing what happened in a certain situation, those things are a thing. And like, if you're buying into a story just based on hearsay because someone said so, or because someone uploaded a screenshot of a Discord conversation or a tweet or whatever, then the joke's on you. And you could end up destroying someone's life for, you know, seemingly a reason, but no reason, if you happen to be wrong. So don't put that stuff on your conscience. Don't go after, you know, people on social media just because you feel that the cancel culture is justifying you to do so. You are still you. You are still in the position where you have nothing to do with that person. Like I said, it's okay to speak out. If you want to retweet, if you want to talk about things, if you want to raise awareness, that's fine. Calling people this and that, prying into their private life, trying to bring justice, and especially with real consequences where other people get involved who are not to blame, is a bad thing. Like, look at what happened like with Bayonetta and like Jennifer Hale. It's like, it's not a, you know, it's not a good thing for anyone. And a person got involved just because they did an honorable amount of work, and they got, I don't, like, honorably paid, I would assume, and you know, like, no one deserves that kind of attention. And no one deserves that kind of, you know, bullshit being imposed on them. But enough of that. I'm gonna go and, well, enough of that until I think of something else to say. But I'm gonna go to Radzathan and get my relic, and then if you want, we can do some dungeons. What are you talking about? It takes maturity. A lot of kids are online. That's true, and I admire I admire the need to change the world. I admire the sense of activism and like wanting to bring a good change to the world and whatnot. But I like, sometimes these things can leave a very ugly mark on someone's reputation where they may not necessarily have you know, earned it or whatever. Even though the voice actress of Bayonetta 3, she did nothing wrong, and people, you know, people know this. Even the people like me who have never heard their name or heard her name before, they will, even though she's done nothing wrong, they might remember this incident. It's like, why would you personally take responsibility of connecting someone to an incident like that, and making it so that people will forever remember that this thing happened, you know, even though they were, you know, proven innocent or whatever. Like, why would you want to be the part of the problem that will forever mark them as a person who was involved in any kind of drama? Like, no sane person or a contractor or a game or whatever will refuse to work with, you know, her just because she was involved with this. Like, I don't think she had any part in this whatsoever. But it's still kind of ugly. You know, it's still kind of ugly to be connected to this situation that had nothing to do with you. And people are gonna know about it. I just think that it's so ugly. And it's not fair. So, I don't know, like, unless you're 100% sure, and unless things directly concern you, it's like, just like, for the love of, the 12, make sure not to go after someone and accidentally ruin someone's life, because ruining someone's life is almost never ruining their life. It affects their families, their children, their spouses, their employment, everything, because everything's out there on the internet. And like, why would you want to be a part of the problem for someone, especially when later on it can have consequences. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, like, you are correct, and like, when it comes to Kanye or whatever, like, you have a choice to, like, there's a difference, right? When someone does something that you don't agree with, you have the right to not support that person anymore, and you have the right to tell everyone else around you that you're not going to support them. And that's, I think, clear to everyone. What I'm just like trying to make sure is out there is that there's a fine line between doing that and just being like, okay, this is my attitude, this is what I stand for, this is what I will no longer support, just like you did right now. And then there's people, like, let's forget that it's Kanye, that his environment is protected and that you can't easily maybe get to some information or do any sort of lasting damage or whatever. For people who are less protected by money and bodyguards and reputation and this and that, their addresses can get leaked, their phone numbers can get leaked, their employment can be affected and whatnot. Some people just like take it up a notch and they're like, I'm gonna bring justice to this situation. And a lot of, like, what surprises me personally in this world is like is that someone will do that, and then even the people who would never take that step would support that person in going ahead and canceling someone like that and actually getting involved with their private life, even though they would never personally do that. And then if you called someone out for being a creep or a stalker, or taking things I don't know, to a whole nother level, if you call them out, suddenly you're a supporter of the activity that you stand against in the first place. And then you don't feel comfortable, then you don't feel like, I don't want to talk about like politics or war or anything like that. Like, I'm just going to vaguely refer to this, and I will not say these things on stream, but like, in the current conflict that's happening in the world, the fact that you disagree with a certain politician calling out for invasive actions against another country as a preemptive action that could potentially bring the destruction of the world, that does not automatically make you a supporter of the other side, is my point. And it sucks that people who have this attitude are still getting cancelled because their opinion is like getting perceived as, if you're not my friend, you're my enemy of some sort. So that's what that's what I'm referring to. Like, that's the current cancel thing that I'm referring to. What is this? I need to buy 3 of these, right? Yeah, I don't mind talking about these things with you guys if we're all comfortable about it. I can I can not talk about it, of course, if you guys are uncomfortable with it, but I have no problem discussing these things because it's actually quite overwhelming to never talk about it, to always be on Twitter, on Instagram, and everywhere, and like seeing all these things and like never getting to share how I'm feeling about it. Exchange 1,500 elegant tombstones of astronomy for 3 chunks of meteorite. Yes, please. Okay, I think is there gonna be a cutscene? Okay, let's do this quest. Manderville. Let's